Welcome back, everyone, to the Hansen Brothers podcast. As you know, we're kind of keeping up with the Formula One and everything that's going on in the motorsport world. Obviously, it was the Qatar Grand Prix this weekend. We'll get back to that because I think there was another race that was probably even more interesting, the WRC in Saudi Arabia, which first of all was an epic event, but also it was the title decider. And Kevin Hansen, as always, loves motorsport and has been following everything in detail. I kind of kept up, but not that much. So
What
Kevin,
did you do instead? What on earth can someone be doing when there's two titles, the two biggest motorsport titles you can achieve in the world, going down on the same weekend, back to back, Saturday and Sunday? What on earth can you have on your schedule that's not putting that at priority?
uh, two things on the schedule were wife and kids. So those are two things.
The wife clearly can get the qualify. I do that every time. Wife, bit to the side, motorsport up. There we go.
I had one day with my wife and some friends. We went to Gothenburg and we had a good time. We were eating some Mexican food, just kind of hanging out and having a good time in Gothenburg. It was without the
Nice.
kids this time, so it was nice to be just like
Parent
grown up
time.
and having a couple of drinks and then the next day we went home and then it was full on with the kids, catching up. And when you're away from them, then you miss them, so you want to do a lot of stuff. So I knew that the Formula One was on, but we were
I
kind of
didn't watch
playing
the
a
race
board
then at
game and
all.
having a good time.
Didn't watch the race at all, or?
I watched the highlights.
Classic.
Yeah,
No,
classic.
it's been an incredible weekend for motorsport. I think the WRC was the first time ever in Saudi Arabia. It was a brilliant event. I think from a driver's perspective, probably a nightmare. But again, we know how it is when the circumstances of a race isn't ideal from a driving perspective. I'm thinking Nürburgring 2021, snowing. We was like, we need to cancel the event. It's not nice at all. Everyone on TV loves it. And it was the same with the WRC. It was super, super raw event because it was so much different terrains. And again, just like you see always in Saudi, you had stony sections, you had sandy sections, you had high-speed gravel roads, low-speed gravel roads, tarmac section, super staged by Jamil in Jeddah. You had everything you could wish for in the event, and it really caused a lot of nightmare for the tires out there. So that was a big talking point. It was almost like you can get lucky or not with the tires during the race. And it went down between, it was the three Toyota drivers, Kalle Rovanperä, Alfred Evans, and Seb Ogier, that went down to the wire. Kalle kind of lost out early on, I think already on the Thursday, because obviously it's Saturday there is a Sunday, because they obviously the weekend in Saudi is Friday, Saturday. So on Thursday, Kalle kind of got an early puncture and was kind of ruled out of everything because you get most points on the first 2 days in the rally. So he got ruled out from that. And then Alvin, I think I missed a few stages, but then he had also puncture, dropped a few places. So Ogier kept pretty clean and got a lot of points. And going into the final day, he was in a really strong spot. I think it was 6 points ahead or something, but there's about 10 points available on the last day. So it was really, everything went down to the last stage. But I think we can really send huge congrats to Seb Ogier for winning the World Championship. His 9th, the second Seb to have 9 World Rally titles. It was a truly incredible performance by him. And the mad thing is he didn't even compete on all the rallies this year. He was a part-timer and he still won the World Championship. So it says a bit about, how much important the road position is in WRC. That you don't need to compete on all the rallies. But again, Seb Loeb, he won many of the championship, many events before. So that, I guess that's kind of also like skipping rallies. So yeah, no, it was an incredible weekend. We also said goodbye to Kalle Rovanperä, who's stopping his rally career at the age of 25, which is nuts. 2-time World Rally Champion, was his final attempt. Now he's moving over to Formula racing, which again, I think is just an incredible story that someone is going, there's been some Formula One drivers going from F1 to rally, like post-career, but never someone who's attempted to go, I'm going to be a Formula One driver, and has gone down there. He's going to Super Formula, I think, or something in Japan, or he's going maybe to New Zealand to drive something.
I saw
Um,
on his Instagram that he posted that he will do the Toyota Winter Championship, which has
yeah,
it's always been a big championship for the people who want to get some extra track time in the winter. You go to New Zealand and kind of you have some
oh, it's the
back-to-back
summer, isn't it?
races. Yeah, it's a great way to learn more about single seater. So I think that's a good call for him. But that career swap is incredible. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
be so interesting to follow.
Grow up on gravel roads and snowy, icy lakes in Finland, being an absolute raw talent on that, and now he has to go and stop sliding. I guess you do still slide in Formula cars. I've not driven much, but I guess you have some rotation. You're always in that car as well. Just it's a lot
I
less.
know. I wouldn't say so. Like in when you drive big cars on gravel, like rallycross or rally off road, then you really rotate the car and you go with the feel, the flow of the car, seeing where the bumps take you, and you kind of play around with it. In single seaters, you have the tires work so differently, so you have to like as soon as you have that movement, then you've lost all the grip because that like the tire doesn't like to be on that slip angle. So you need to keep the car planted on the road. As soon as you have any movement, you lose grip. So it's
Then,
much more about learning where that limit is compared to feeling your way to the limit, if that makes sense.
but again, then I'm a bit intrigued because I know when you did Formula racing, um, our dad was out on the track looking at you, Carlos Sainz, Daniel Kvyat, and this different driver, and he said like it looks like they're just compared to you, they're just going a bit more by the feel. Obviously, you guys were very equal. I think on that track they were a little bit ahead, so obviously that's where the comment came from. What you know? What makes you say you have to be learned everything? It's pure data and not just a bit by feel. Because like we see Max Verstappen saying he's a natural talent. Surely he drives on feel, no?
Yeah, but yes, like the best drivers do have better feeling. Obviously, like I wasn't as good as Carlos Sainz and Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly that I was racing with at the time. I think Sainz was probably the fastest one at that time, and Dad was saying like it looks like he's more on feel. And I wasn't. I was young. I hadn't learned everything about racing yet. That's why I'm a bit critical to this whole young driver approach in racing because like, it takes a while to learn how to drive a car. Just because you're good when you're 17 doesn't mean that you're not or good or bad at 17 doesn't mean you're good or bad when you're 25. You know, it's a lot of years and a lot of learning. But yes, I think Verstappen, like, the clear example of like someone who drives on feel, and but it's still much less feel in a single seater than it is in a rally car. Like there is like they still do the time in the simulators. They learn exactly where the breaking point is. They learn the right how to trail the braking into the corner, like how to approach it in the best way. It's much more learning because the cars are so good and so close to the limit. Then the driving has to be so perfect to fit all that. In rally, you have to have a car that's higher, it's a bit heavier, it's softer, so you're less precise. That's why you don't have to be as perfect in your driving. But this is comparing the two disciplines. I think that's what Kalle will feel when he goes the other way. That like, oh, it's compared to what he's used to in rallying, driving, just going out on the stage, pitching the car in, and then adapting his way through the corner. That's what I mean with feel. In circuit racing or in single seaters, if you brake too early, if you say, then you can't just adapt your way to a fast corner. Like you have to do the perfect braking point, the perfect entry, the perfect apex and exit in relation to your driving style and your setup and all that. But it has to be perfect from the beginning to the end.
I don't understand how you can find the limit then. If you're just going by learning, how can you possibly know like when if you're not driving with any slide, how can you even know how close you are to the limit?
Well, that's the talent, I suppose. Like,
Yeah, but then there must be the you must be some it must be I mean, I guess maybe the feel maybe is then 10%, so you must be much more alerted to any sensation of movement of slide. It must
but
still be slide.
you still have to adapt lap by lap, but the differences from one lap to the other is much smaller in a single seater because the car is near perfect and the track is near perfect and all of that. I think difference from lap to lap in a single seater is much smaller than lap to lap in a rallycross car.
Do you think Kalle will succeed on his new um, path change? Because you obviously went from circuit racing to cars racing, the let's say the more traditional route. If you don't stay in Formula, how do you think he will do when he goes the other way?
I would love to see him do well, like, but it's such a big challenge, and I guess we haven't seen that side of him. So I think he will get to Formula 2. I don't think he will get to Formula 1. What do you think?
Mm, I think the path that is possible is, he does what he does now, gets the Winter Series well, gets to Super Formula, I guess is his first plan. Then to F2, I think that's for sure possible if he's all right in Super Formula. And then, but the thing is, then he does have the story is so good, so he will then have a spot in the Racing Bulls team. I'm quite sure.
Yeah,
So if he's good
he will
enough,
get some
then he
testing
will.
time. Yeah,
He
and he
will
will have
get
all the
there.
backing.
For sure, because the story is so good. Everybody loves that story, and I'm sure that Red Bull family will love that sensation of someone doing the unimaginable. That's what their brand is about. So I think if he does good enough, then he will sit on the grid. But the question is also, like, is it just for the story then to do 1-2 years, or is he? Then the problem is he not too old then? He gets to the late 20s. When you see these days, they sign 18, 19-year-olds. Like, is it too late? I don't think it's too late in the age-wise, because Lewis Hamilton is 45 or something, and same with Alonso. Sorry, I think the age might be possible, but then the question he needs to be also good enough then, so people believe, okay, he can be a world champion.
And also something that he could do that no one's done before is to bring this feel aspect. Like he's a feeling first driver for sure, because he's come from the lakes in Finland to growing up in rallying to being world rally champion. Like he has that feel built into him. He can't not drive on feel. So we've seen a lot of single seater drivers transfer to rallying. But is there something to be gained by being able to feel your way around Formula One, Formula One race? Is that some unexplored territory that he might unlock and he might be great? How cool would that be? I would
It
love
would
to see
be
that.
it would be really cool.
I do think
He's
that a lot of the young single seat. I only made it to the junior level, like Formula 4-ish level. Um, so I've only raced with them. I think he can for sure. He could win at that level because the drivers are very young. You're very unexperienced, and so on. You haven't done a lot of years in motorsport. But then he's gonna come up to harder competition, and he's gonna need to beat the very best of that generation that is coming up now. So is he gonna be able to bring something different to the table, and or his team's gonna be able to support his style that's undoubtedly gonna be different to the others? Like, is he gonna be able to put all that together to be fast? Like, I can't
mm,
wait to follow this.
no, for sure. But I was thinking he might lack. We're completely gone off from the WRC in Saudi. Sorry, everyone, but
Yeah, but
OJ won, and this is too interesting. So,
yeah,
uh, like I was thinking, he's lacking a few years of Formula experience compared to the ones he will meet in F2. But then also, many people will like win, like do 1-2 years in Formula Regional somewhere or F4, and then do maybe 1-2 years in F3. That means, let's say you have between 2 and 4 years of experience before F2. If he does 1 year of Super Formula or two, I think that experience is more valuable than being in the lower categories and then going to. So he might not actually be, and he has all that WRC experience with feel. The question, I think, it could be either way. Like some people just have the same idea, karting, and going into Formula racing, do a few years, and you're enough to. And then some people win it the first year and go to F1. Does he need that very, you know, sorry, the experience of Formula racing, or can he now come a different path and succeed? Like I think he can. I think you
I
don't
hope
need
he
that
can.
junior Formula. I think it's more valuable to have the senior Formula.
Yeah, but let's imagine then that he does pull it off, so he is able to drive the car fast, and he makes his style work. He adapts to the single seaters in the right way, brings his own skills into the mix in the right way. But then a weakness that we can't get around that he's gonna have is that he's not a wheel to wheel racer. He's done rallying,
It's
so
very
he's been
true.
alone.
But you're also forgetting he's a drifter. And the
Yeah,
only thing you do in drifting is get as close as you can without touching
yeah,
while going fully sideways. So I don't know.
but it's not the
He,
same to do drifting because you're not trying to pass, you're just trying to be close.
yeah,
It's a whole different game of strategy in your head, going down a straight and into a corner combination,
yeah,
and
breaking
then
late. It could be his weakness. You're
understanding
right.
where to go for the gap. Like, am I going to go for the lunge on the inside? Am I just going to threaten the lunge on the inside so he covers, so I go out, so I actually get the gap into turn two? And then in these single seaters, that today you can't pass on the outside. There are two clear ways to pass someone: inside, traditional way, and I always grew up saying that it's impossible to pass on the outside. But current Formula One cars and
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
are so good with the extra corner speed they're carrying on the outside. Because of the extra speed, they have more downforce, so they actually have more grip. When they're out there going around the long way. So that's also a clear way. But that's a whole kind of thing that in racing, I guess, is the equivalent of pace notes in rallying. It's a skill that's very hard to learn, and it's going to take a lot of trial and error before you get it right.
it was to be honest, my weakness in go karting. The brake very late was up the inside. I didn't really I didn't really like it. Like I didn't like that. So I liked slipstreaming and getting my nose in and then just braking a little late, but not like dive, which what you need to do sometimes in Formula racing. And for me, that wasn't my thing. Mine are a bit more, let's say, flow and like get them moved on. It's rare that you do get a dive bomb, but that's why it takes quite a
But
lot
you
of
need to
balls to.
threaten it. That's the thing. You need to threaten diving to the inside to make the other one cover, even though like those dives rarely happen. But it's the most school book kind of overtake. You're behind, you brake later on the inside, and you pass. So that's the most obvious thing that the driver in front needs to defend against. And when you defend, you're not on the optimum line. So then how can you use that to your advantage to pass in the next corner? Or when you're defending, like how do you defend in the right way? It's two sides of the same coin. You need to understand what the other driver is thinking while you are also thinking about the same things. It's like chess, it's like a game of chess. A good
Speaking
good
of
battle is that.
speaking of overtaking and outside and moves, let's move over to Formula One.
Feels like
And
we've
if we
already
speak,
been on Formula One, but
yeah,
now to the title fight.
let's move on to the discussion of Qatar, and we must start with saying, and I'm not sure you have seen this, Timmy, but we must start off this by saying there is no space in the world for online abuse, which Kim Antonelli has received after the questioned, let's say, ending of the race in Qatar. No matter what people think or so, death threats and all of these things just for a bit of sporting overtake or whatever it is, ridiculous. People has to stop. There's no space for it. And if you're doing these things to anyone, please stop. It should be a warm, kind world. And I just want to start off by saying that because it doesn't matter who you're cheering for. For someone to be exposed to those things, um, it's not acceptable anywhere.
Oh, well said. Don't be a troll. Don't make don't contribute to make the world a harsh place where you attack people. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Like, just
treat people like you want to be treated, as our dad's advice on the racetrack. You raise someone like you want to be raised, and that's a bit the same on social media. So if you say nothing, you can then, if you want to be treated the same way back, you would have a lot of bad karma. So
and
anyway,
also
we want to note that.
hat off to the people who are not doing all this. Who are actually helping
Yes,
making the online space, the social media, a better place, a place where you want to be, a place where you get encouragement and you feel good.
if
So
we spend all of this time, people both listening to us, looking at us on YouTube right now, spending all this time in front of the screen, let's make it enjoyable space. Um, and I did really enjoy, what a smooth transition. Really enjoyed the Formula One race. In a way that it was an exciting development for the championship. The race itself, I think you could note from the highlights, Timmy, it was quite boring. It wasn't much happening. It was pretty much a McLaren trying to get as big gap as possible, because they messed up in their strategy in
yeah,
the
so
lap
Max won
7.
it on strategy, or did McLaren lose it on their strategy?
Well,
Tell us what
yes,
happened.
just yes on both those situations. On laps, it was so the basic is that there was a 25 lap limit on a set of tires during the race for safety concerns of the tire structure. So Pirelli put in a maximum of 25 laps is allowed to race during any session on a set of tires, which means everybody started on a new set of mediums and expected then to, let's say, try and get down to lap 25 and then box. It was 57 laps, and then obviously everyone thought, okay, when is the first window to box and get to the end? And that's lap 7. If you complete 7 laps, you then have 50 to go. You can make 25 plus 25 get to the end. Unbelievably, after, let's say, I think on the 7th lap, it was a safety car, and then the window is open to then complete the rest of the race with just one more stop if you box. Everyone on the whole grid box except McLaren, who's 1-2 on the racetrack.
So
And
it was McLaren missing the
it's
opportunity then.
it's just like we said in the last episode that you touched on. The people that are currently failing in this championship pressure is not the drivers, because they were 1 and 3 actually before the box, but it's the team. So the team is currently not holding up enough to win the championship. And now what's happened? Max then had a free pit stop. McLaren was super quick 1 and 2, and they pulled a massive gap, but Max was not that slow. So he won by 10 seconds, basically lost 15 seconds during those 50 laps. And now he's second in the championship. So a huge, like Jan, you want the last episode to change to Max maybe being your person and not Piastri. Piastri still has a chance, but Max Verstappen is big time in the game here, for sure. So yes, McLaren lost out for sure. Did the mistake of the strategy. I think they admitted that afterwards. Very easy to be, wise in hindsight. But now we go down to a title decider. But the big thing actually that I was also thinking during the race, because Lando had a bit of an issue with his tire temperature, so he couldn't really push in that second stint to get enough to go back into P3. Came out P5 and just didn't really have a P5 finish for him. Would have put him 10 points clear of Max, which then meant he had to finish second if Max won in Abu Dhabi. Which means then, there's one guy who can be really quick as well, which is Piastri, to finish second, and he's third, and he loses the championship. Because they're equal, all of them are equal on wins. So if Max wins, he gets an 8th win, which is more than 7, which is equal points, which would be third. You would lose the championship, and you know how it is to be equal on points and then lose out on wins. So that's the last thing you want. In the end, with Antonelli, Lando did put a lot of pressure on Antonelli. He did a mistake, ran wide, and Lando got another 2 points, which is huge because now he can finish third and still be world champion. And
But
that
so
means
then,
Max and
I
Piastri can finish ahead, which is not only, but the most likely people to be able to challenge McLaren on speed on a
yeah.
smooth track like Abu Dhabi.
So Abu Dhabi. season finale is this weekend, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen this weekend? I think if it is that what you just said, Max, Piastri, Norris in that order, come the last lap. Surely McLaren will tell Piastri to slow down, and
This is the thing. I've seen interviews where they say we'd rather lose the championship to Max than break our, let's say, papaya rules and keep it equal. So they would they won't swap and
yeah,
have
but
Piastri
who
then
are
give up
like
the championship. No, they won't, which is
are you
crazy.
gonna no? But put yourself inside of the helmet, like in the car of Piastri, then, and you have your teammate behind. Are you gonna deny him the championship if
Yes,
you're
because
ahead?
you lost it. Surely it's so bad for him to give Lando his first title and not himself.
Yeah,
So for him, it's much better that Lando doesn't win. They remain no champions in the team,
yeah.
and they can move forward.
Formula
And
One is the most ego sport,
yeah,
in motorsport at least.
it's
I'm
the
not too.
most
I'm not even
ego
not involved in
team
other
sport in
sports,
the
but
world.
yeah,
Most ego team sport in the world.
most ego team sport in the world. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah, it is. So it's gonna be exciting. So what did you say just now then? So if Max wins, Norris has to be
Third.
third.
If he finishes fourth, that's 12 points loss, which
Yeah.
is not enough. So now
Okay.
I think he has, if I'm not completely, I think he has to finish third. And if Piastri wins, this is also huge. He can then finish fifth. So, which is also, I guess, it's quite likely that Piastri will win, no pressure, flat out, take the lead. Lando only has to finish fifth, which then allows him to be behind Charles, which is also a quick guy, and one of the Mercedes, or both
Russell.
Mercedes,
Yeah.
if that's also huge, because the most likely scenario is that McLaren, which is the quickest, they will win again in Abu Dhabi. Oscar can win, and the Lando only has to be fifth. So
Well,
yeah,
let's not
it's
forget the 21. Was it 2021
yeah,
Hamilton Verstappen race, where everything was in Hamilton's favor, and it can still change until the last lap. That was
it's
like one of the best sports moments, I
yeah,
think,
for
of all
sure,
time.
and
So
it's
controversial, so exciting.
so much pressure on Lando at the moment in one way. Only thing he has to do is to just drive his own race, focus on qualifying, especially qualifying. No mistake,
But that's been
do
his
a really good
weakness.
lap, and then he's fine. But everyone else will be aggressive, so he needs to weigh this perfectly. He needs to have scenarios and approaches in his mind, calculated and ready, without getting anxious about future decisions. Just preparing different scenarios, having that in the back of his mind, and then going racing, and
It-
not
yeah,
getting that anxiety. But this is
it's
his challenge.
it's definitely Norris's championship to lose right now. And if he just does a decent job, he's going to be champion. And that said, this is what we spoke about a few episodes ago. That's the hardest job you can have. That you don't need to win. You don't need to do anything special. Just save it. Don't crash. Those thoughts are going to come through your mind a million times. Don't crash. But when you're trying not to crash, guess what happens? Like you're gonna
Yeah.
crash, or at least go slow, or at least like you're not in the space of mind that you usually are in a normal race where you're just trying to win it. So it's gonna be, it's human sports
The,
psychology and all this, and
yeah.
also the drivers are very, you know, familiar with this stress and making decisions under pressure. And we talk to sports psychologists and all of this to get better at that aspect. But then the team, the engineers, who has evidently also felt the pressure lately, they don't have that support of
Yeah.
mental coaching, of being the best when you have all the pressure. So they also need to deliver. Like,
Yeah.
don't play it safe, because if you play it safe, you're gonna lose out. Do it
Then
like a
you just
normal
need to
race,
do
which is
you just
harder
need to
said,
do your
is
best.
easier said than done.
It's very easy said and done, but it's literally, it's like football. Just play the game. Just do your sport. Then you will succeed. And again, I got a bit just before we round off, I got a bit annoyed at Piastri because he was acting a bit like the McLaren team lost him the championship chance by not winning in his race in Qatar. Mate, you crashed in Baku twice. You lost more there than they just did. So don't just be, again, it's the most ego team sport in the world. Just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, don't be that guy.
No,
Don't be
but
the guy who blames,
he
like, you messed up too. It's just how it is. But just when it comes down to, the end of the season where you can't just continue to capture points, then you start thinking there's so much in these two races. It's the same value as the first race of the season. So this is kind of the idea you have to have. It's just another race to gather the points, and you just have to take it
But
as
he
it
wouldn't
comes.
be
It
the
could be,
first one to be bitter about the fact that like you losing. Like he kind of didn't. He wasn't driving as himself for a couple of races there when he was leading the championship, and then
yeah,
eventually losing the championship lead. And then he's not feeling great, and like he's gonna be upset
has
about
one
it, and
has
he's gonna
one
make
good race, and
excuses that
then
doesn't make sense.
has one good race, then gets upset about that they messed it up, but he's messed the last 7 races up. So it's yeah. I just thought, remember, it's a team sport. There's a lot of people doing their best, so you don't be. There's where Lewis is great. He always is fair and thankful for people doing their best for him. So don't be that guy. That
No,
is the
because
annoying
that
part.
kind of behavior also like triggers the trolls on social media. I think who was it from? Was it yeah? Like if you say something in the public, that's gonna then trigger a lot of opinions in
Yeah,
people at home, and then their only way to express their opinion is to comment on social media. And if it's a lot of negativity, then you're gonna get that wave onto social media. So it's also the people in the spotlight, it's their responsibility to not starting to point fingers and not being that guy, as you said.
yeah, yeah. It's going to be an unbelievable end to the season. This was the penultimate episode of the F1. I don't know what you call it, F1 section of our podcast. Happy December also, everyone. Hope you're getting a lovely warm up to Christmas. Thanks for listening in today, following the Hansen Brothers podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, whatever you guys are doing. Timmy, thanks for today, brother.
Leave a
We'll
good
see you guys
comment.
next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. See you next week.